got the follow notification for it.
Yeah, I took a bit to kick in there for me. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You hear us pre-gaming, but we're here. It's been a while. It's been a relatively slow November. Or it was relatively slow November. It's obviously December now, but we're here. We're back. We're going to talk about some Dota 2. I'm Steven. Bleacher Report, esports, and MMA. He's Mtarget, caster, streamer, etc. So, say something because they can't see you.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Howdy.
Yeah, he's got a mustache now. I've also trimmed my beard. So, both looking good. And we're going to talk about Dota 2. Obviously, biggest news of the last month or so is the DreamLeague Major results. Tournament wrapped up yesterday. And pretty darn good event, all in all. Second major of the season after ESL won Hamburg, and pretty much blew up the Dota Pro Circuit standings. Event was ultimately won by Team Secret, who looked pretty phenomenal as a whole. Only absorbed one loss throughout the entire tournament. Ended up going through the upper bracket, 2-0ing Evil Geniuses, 2-0ing New B. They 2-1 Team Liquid in the upper bracket finals, and then 3-0'd them in the grand finals. So a total record of 9-1, and that's good for a whopping 750 DPC points. Liquid, who came in second, get 450. Evil Geniuses and Navi were the third and fourth respectively, and they got 225 and 75 points respectively. So, what are your thoughts, notes, comments, etc. on the tournament?
I don't know. I've really kind of enjoyed all the Dota going on so far. Don't even, I mean, let me pull up these results again.
Okay.
And I'm also like jumbled between Dream League and Perfect World, like what happened when.
Yeah. So, plus, there's
like
a fair bit of crossover between the teams there too.
Oh, there wasn't really that much cross. Was there any crossover?
Yeah, Newbie. And Newbie. Well, we'll go over Perfect World Masters.
Yeah.
In a little bit. And
yeah, but
there wasn't actually much crossover.
Yeah. That's the thing is I'm just trying to like get it all straight. It's been a crazy week of Dota and everything else really. But yeah, no. I mean, the biggest surprise to me was Secret beating Liquid at Dream League.
Yeah.
Not so much the victory, it was how dominant the victory looked if you only looked at the 3-0. Because games 1 and 2 were super close. Game 3 was a shit show.
Yeah.
But game excuse me, game 1 was incredibly good, and game 2 was pretty good as well. Team Secret was just looking unlike anything else.
Yeah, it's
so good.
Strong case can be made that this is the best run over recent months of Team Secret's existence, and two, as you know, stemming from that, is that you can also argue that this is the best Team Secret that we've ever seen, and that's high praise because we've seen, you know, if you go over the Team Secret roster over the last few years, they've had pretty consistently excellent lineups.
Yep.
So this is a really good team, and they are performing really well. They should note that this is actually their first important LAN win, first place finish, since the Shanghai Major. You know, they've been consistently successful over the years, but, you know, they'll get a third place at something like Epicenter. They'll get a fourth place at Star Ladder I-League Invitational. They get second at ESL 1 Hamburg. Haven't been able to get first place in a pretty long while in a prominent tournament. And yeah, gotta feel good to actually finally get one after a year plus, a year and a half, pushing 2 years. And yeah, I mean, this is the first big LAN win for some of the newer guys on Secret. I think Yapzor and Mid1 both tweeted out that it was their first LAN win, and they've got to be feeling good. Now they're very far ahead.
They were such an important part of the victory, but yeah, they're also super far ahead as far as the circuit is concerned.
The Dota Pro circuit, they are now miles ahead of the competition, and that's really good for them. Should note that Evil Geniuses, they came in third place, and that's very, very good for them. Like they really needed that. They needed both the injection of Dota Pro circuit points, because they've been qualifying for tournaments. They haven't really brought anything home from it, though. And third place is good for 225 DPC points, and that bumps them up into 5th place on the season.
Yep.
$100,000 doesn't hurt either. And this is also Navi's first haul of points yet. I mean, Evil Geniuses had a 3rd, 4th place finish a couple months ago, but Navi has been qualifying for a lot of tournaments, and like Evil Geniuses, have struggled to really show anything from it. And they got 75 points from it. They actually had a deceptively good performance, I would say. They 2-1'd Fnatic and 2-1'd Newbie. They actually looked pretty good against Evil Geniuses in their series, but kind of threw in the second game.
Yeah.
But cause for optimism. And not only that, but
definitely.
Yeah, and not only that, but Navi did win another tournament that wasn't part of the Dota Pro circuit. They won the Adrenaline Cyber League, which included a grand finals victory over Virtus Pro. So there's Evil Geniuses might have turned a corner in terms of getting back into proper form, but Navi might actually be around as a competitive team. So we'll see how both of them.
I think Navi is definitely back. I don't know at what level they're back. I mean, I again, they were doing well, and everybody's excited to see them, and that's great. But if we look at the overall breakdown of points, this does put Navi into 8.
Yes.
The 8th slot. So if I'm using Qualifiers Oracle, Dota 2 Qualifiers on Twitter. He's got a nice little graphic of how he's done this. Of the placings of overall points, and I'm sure there's other places for the standings, but I like his graphic the best. So Secret's the first with that win. And obviously all their other placings, and so they're leading at 3690.
Let's go over this after we go over the Perfect World Masters. And so
okay, yeah, sorry, but point was is that was that 4th place put Navi into 8th place and knocked LG out. And Evil Geniuses had fallen out after Perfect World Masters, but then their 3rd place rocketed them back up and in. So
yeah, both of them will have a chance to add to their totals on the season. In December, we've got Navi competing at MDL Macau, and at Summit 8 we'll have Evil Geniuses competing, and Captain's Draft features EG as well. So both of them, they have the opportunity to get some momentum going, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing for both of them. They both need that, and especially for EG. I mean, we've seen them. They were my picks to win the international, and they haven't really heavily changed their lineup since. Should be expecting success from them, and good to see them start delivering on that.
Definitely.
So, jumping over to Perfect World Masters, that was a tournament in China from a couple weeks ago. It was a minor with 300 pro circuit points on the line.
Yep. And biggest thing to note there is that Team Secret finished 5th, 6th, tied with Team Kinguin of all people.
Yeah. Ultimately the standings were Newbie taking 1st place, Vici Gaming taking 2nd place, LFY coming in 3rd, and Complexity Gaming coming in 4th. So the point breakdown for that was 150 for 1st place, 90 for 2nd place, 45 for 3rd, and 15 for 4th. And that's important for newbie. It's important for Chinese Dota in general because they haven't really been raking in the points that one would expect from them. It's still the deepest region. It's still got a lot of really excellent teams, but they the steady success of Liquid, the rise of Mineski, the ESO1 Hamburg win for Virtus Pro have kind of kept and obviously the rise of Team Secret as a heavyweight. Those four things have really kept Chinese Dota from really succeeding too much in the pro circuit standings, but the top four of the Perfect World Masters had 3 Chinese teams, and all of them looked pretty darn good.
Yep.
We obviously saw LFY make a very strong run at the international, and newbie, they didn't come in second place at the international by chance. So
yeah,
they both got on.
I wonder, you mentioned them being so deep. I wonder how much of that depth has impacted their scoring, because when they're competing for minor slots, or major slots for that matter, but both, we're seeing a bit more width of teams because there's only, slots for 1 or 2 teams. And so they're kind of cutting each other off at the knees trying to get in, while, you look at like Mineski, for example, and Mineski just kind of gets to go to almost everything because they just are currently dominating Southeast Asia. Yeah. Which is why they're in top 8, is because they've been able, the first place in a minor is very, very good, but the fact that they're able to compete in more helps out a little bit. I'm not, excusing the results of the Chinese teams. I'm just saying that it certainly doesn't help.
Yeah, it's going to be very tough to qualify for a lot of these Chinese teams on any kind of consistent basis for the exact reason you said. And you go over the actual, the Chinese qualifier results. Yeah, ESL1 Hamburg. Do you remember who the Chinese qualifier was for that?
Nope.
Freaking Keen Gaming.
Oh yeah, I see. There's the perfect example of Chinese qualifier. Who? And then not necessarily. They performed well at Hamburg, but not.
Yeah, they looked like they belonged, but they still lost. But
exactly.
Keen Gaming was the Chinese qualifier for ESL1 Hamburg. PGL Open Bucharest was Vici Gaming J Thunder. Newbie and Vici Gaming were the Dota Pit Chinese representatives, with Vici Gaming being the qualifier winner, Newbie getting a direct invite. And the Chinese qualifiers for Perfect World Masters were LGD Gaming and Vici Gaming. So Vici Gaming has been looking good and qualifying for a lot, but even then, that's like half of the tournaments, and the other half just scattered among the rest of them, and there's a lot of the rest of them. But as we previously touched upon, there was really strong performances by the Chinese teams, but the team that kind of really turned a lot of heads was Team Kingwin.
I think the fact that they won anything is why they turned heads. And the other thing that's kind of so crazy is that Kingwin didn't do themselves any favors in the playoffs.
That's true.
They beat Vegas Squadron, so there was that. But
that's something.
And it was certainly a good series. I'm, again, trying to remember the matches that I could watch because, most of the stuff happened at Dark 30 where I'm at. But the big deal was the fact that they took a game. They went 1-1 with LGD, 1-1 with Mineski, 1-1 with Newbie. And then in their losses against Team Secret, they looked okay. They went 0-2 there. And then, obviously, as I said, they went 2-1 over Vegas Squadron in very good games. A little bit crazy. Vegas Squadron definitely made some mistakes. I'm also slightly biased. I do like the Vegas Squadron team. And then they got beat up on pretty hard by Newbie, who ended up winning all of it. So, take that with a grain of salt. And then they made Complexity work for it. Like that 2-1 could have very easily been a 2-0 for Kingwin, or a 2-1 in their favor as well.
Yeah, they ultimately won group stages, and they won a stacked Group B. I mean, Group B at Perfect World Masters was Kingwin, Secret, Newbie, Mineski, and LGD Gaming. All those are very good teams, and Kingwin came out on top. They split series with LGD, Mineski, and Newbie and beat Secret 2-0. So that shows that there's something going on there, and wouldn't necessarily expect them to be I don't expect them to run any majors in the coming months, but you look at Europe right now. You got Team Secret, you got Team Liquid, and then it's pretty wide open. We're going to see Liquid and Secret getting a lot of direct invites to a lot of events. So if they're not in the qualifier pool, could easily see Kingwin being the European representatives to a lot of tournaments, I think.
Definitely. And that's a good thing, and I look forward to seeing the rest of this as it goes forward.
Yeah, and so now we're going to quickly go over the actual Dota Pro circuit standings. We touched upon it before, but...
Yeah, I got ahead of myself. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. So, once again, Team Secret way out ahead right now. They got...
They're not that out ahead, though. Like, let me pull back up.
Pretty far out ahead.
Well, because 750... They're less than 1,000 points ahead of Team Liquid.
Yeah, but unless Liquid can win a major and then not have...
Oh, I get that, and I'm not... But I do think I'm just commenting on the fact that it's... I mean, they're definitely out ahead, and as I'm looking at it more and more, I'm realizing just how actually far ahead they are.
Yeah,
but it's not as it's not like they're 4 or 5K out.
Yeah.
But they are over halfway. They are over halfway to a guaranteed slot at TI8. So keep that in mind as we look at the second, third. I would say we're probably about a third of the way through. That first season, second season, third season, and then you've got TI season for that fourth quarter. Expect to see, looking into the second and the third, maybe Secret stops playing as much because they're guaranteed a slot at TI. Maybe. I mean, I know the players on Secret, it's unlikely, but those are things that we have to consider now that we're on a pro circuit. Things might change.
Yeah, we are still definitely in the experimental phase of the entire thing. We are, we've talked about it a lot, but it's only been 6 tournaments. There's been a lot to talk about. We are only 6 tournaments deep into the season. Still plenty of time for other teams to rise up, but still plenty more time for teams like Team Secret and Team Liquid to kind of adjust what they're doing. Virtus Pro had a little bit of a controversy with Summit by allegedly saying that they were only going to focus on majors, which I don't want to talk about that too much, but that's a valid strategy. That just long story short, that's a valid approach to this Dota Pro circuit, is to focus exclusively on the majors, and we could see that being the approach for a Liquid, a Secret, a Virtus Pro as they start to get more points over the course of the season. Yeah. But anyway, Secret, first place. 1,230 points for each player at this point. Team Liquid, 2,700 points with 900 for each player. Virtus Pro, 2,295. That's your top 3. From there, really big drop-off. Newbie is in 4th place with 1,035 points. That's, once again, less than half of what Virtus Pro have right now. Then there's a decent drop-off from there. Not huge, but it's there. Between Evil Geniuses, Mineski, Vici Gaming, and Navi. You have 4 teams now that have points on the board, but fall outside the top 8 that would translate to a direct invite to TI in LGD, Complexity Gaming, LFY, and Immortals. Still plenty of time left in the season. Pretty much only, like you said, about a third of the way through.
Ish. I mean, obviously, and we've been having tournaments added and dropped left and right as logistics, catch up with certain organizations, and all that stuff. So yeah. I look forward to it. I've certainly been enjoying it, and those storylines are great. Really quickly, somebody commented, if let's pretend that TI was in a couple months. But let's pretend that TI invites were going out right now. Secret, Team Liquid, Virtus Pro, Newbie, Evil Geniuses, Mineski, Vici Gaming, and Navi as your 8 invites. Yes or no? Do you think that that's mostly right? I personally, I think that that's pretty damn close to 8 for 8
Yeah.
out of invites.
I would agree with you. I mean,
maybe 7. Like,
honestly,
at the same time, I mean, obviously the body of work is far too small. But I want to kind of. It was brought up by Knoxville on Twitter. He ran a poll, and I thought about it, and I want to start doing this after each major. Let's look at the top 8 and say, okay, now that a larger chunk of the body of work is there, do we agree with our subjective opinions, and do those match up with the objective ranking system that the new Dota Pro circuit has?
Yeah,
I'm kind of dropping this on the spot on you there, but
no, right now I would say it's good. I mean, obviously, it is subjective, and I don't think that order is necessarily accurate.
But again, you don't care about order for invites. You just care.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're going to pick out the top 4, you got to go with Secret, Liquid, Virtus Pro, and Mineski. Those are easily the top 4.
Yeah, I probably would put Mineski. I would consider putting Mineski at 5. I think because Newbie is still very good too.
Yeah.
And Newbie has 1 minor victory. It's not even like I'm putting a minor victory over somebody else. Newbie and Mineski both have minor victories. And Mineski would have more points if they had gone to Dota Pit. So
yeah.
I don't know, was it Dota Pit? Yes.
And I would be a little bit more reluctant to say Navi if it wasn't for them having that win at that event I discussed earlier, the Adrenaline Cyber League. I think it was. Yeah, the Adrenaline Cyber League. That Pro Circuit right now, all their points are from that 4th place finish, and it's hard to say that they should get a direct invite based solely on a 4th place finish. But when you add in that Cyber League victory, which is a LAN against solid CIS teams, or CIS and then Mouse Sports, that's enough to get my nod for them. Plus, again, they're Navi. If they have the chance, if an organizer has the chance to invite Navi, they're gonna do it, and rightly so.
And they've been looking good. Like we saw it at DreamLeague. My brain is all kinds of fried right now.
Yeah, okay.
They definitely looked fun, and they definitely looked like they were top 8 teams. One of the probably one of the top 8 teams. Certainly one of the top 16 teams, and deserving of a free pass.
They're right in the thick. They're right in the thick of it, which is a good thing. We haven't seen that from Navi in years.
Yeah,
Crystallize is
not at this consistent level because they've been, trudging.
Yeah, Crystallize is looking really good with that team. Basically, all of the new additions are looking really good, and Navi's just looking generally really good right now. And that's a good thing for pretty much all of Dota, because, man, fans flock to Navi.
Yeah,
like we said it before. If you're gonna do a tournament, you want 7 good teams in Navi, just to get that viewership bump.
And or 7 good teams plus a Southeast Asian team, especially a Filipino team.
That doesn't
no matter
hurt.
how good Mineski is, they will always draw a following.
Yes.
They draw disgustingly good numbers from Southeast Asia.
They do.
So really quickly, just because we're on the topic of tournaments right now, this weekend is ROG Masters and MDL Macau.
Mm-hmm.
ROG Masters is a Wikipedia major, which is below a Premier. It's an offline LAN in Kuala Lumpur with Optic, WGU, Execration, Empire, Penta, and Max Chinese team. So it's not a part of the pro circuit. So I'm gonna set that to the side for a moment, because we're talking about the pro circuit. We have MDL Macau, followed immediately by the next weekend by Dota Summit. So we've got a lot of Dota before 2017 ends.
Yeah.
And MDL Macau, interestingly enough, has 9 teams. So
yes,
you have Virtus Pro, LGD Forever Young, TNC, VGJ Storm, which is the North American one, Navi, OG, Infamous, and then EHOME got a late direct invite.
Yes. I'll let you discuss why that is, given that it is a relatively strange tournament.
It is a very strange thing. So about a week or two ago at this point, Valve issued an official statement on this and everything. The short version is that because EHOME was not allowed to participate in the qualifiers due to the ban they had received from ACE, which is the Chinese pseudo-parent organization to MDL. They're not technically related, but at the same time, ACE controls everything China Dota 2 related. That's competitive. Technically, Perfect World controls the rest of it, but I don't know. I'm not in China. I don't know the nuances there. But what I do know
they're an organization that has a lot of sway at the very least.
Yes. ACE said they're not allowed to compete in these qualifiers, and so they couldn't.
And the reason for that, by the way,
is because EHOME got banned a while ago from everything ACE because they picked up Wings players. They picked up several, actually.
Particularly Faith Beyond, CTY?
Yeah, and Y as well.
Not CTY, Y.
Wait, Y was on Wings. Yeah, not C. I was like, I don't think CTY was. Yeah, CTY's been on eHome.
Yeah. But
anyway, so Faith Beyond and Y/Innocence.
Yes, Wings had an ugly breakup with their actual players following the Boston Major when they became team random for the Kiev Major, and that got them basically blackballed from the Chinese Dota circuit. Yeah,
and Ace did all of that, and we don't know. People speculated that MDL went to Valve, but people think that it was the other way around. That Valve was like, hold on, it's probably EHOME went to Valve. These players were not allowed to compete in the qualifiers. Why not? No valid reason. They have to get a direct invite, which is a huge pass to EHOME. Like,
oh yeah.
The qualifier that they would have had to have played through, like just the team that won, because technically it was DPL Season 4, and so they were banned from DPL Top Season 4. So they would have had to, at the very least, beaten LGD Forever Young, to which I say, good luck, because LGDFY is still really freaking good.
And we should note that we have seen EHOME in action as it stands. It's not like this is a super duper hot prospecty kind of high upside team. We've seen them in action, and they haven't really been able to make it through qualifiers.
They played in the hang on, let me go down here. So in the last 2 months or so, they took 4th at the China qualifier for StarLadder I-League. They took 5th through 8th for the China Open qualifier for DreamLeague, 5th through 6th for the Perfect World Masters China qualifier. They took 2nd in the Major League Minor, losing to Execration,
which is not an especially prestigious tournament.
Not really. So they got 14,000 for that. They did win the Dota Summit 8 China Open qualifier, but then got 2-0'd by LGD to take 5th place in the actual China qualifier. So, yeah, EHOME not doing too hot right now.
Yeah. So this is, like you said, this is definitely a gift that they are in this tournament, because tough competition to get through.
It really is. And again, I'm not knocking EHOME. They might do something great here, but it was certainly a free entrance here. And what I think that this is more Valve telling Ace, we are in charge here, than anything else, which, hey, they are. I'm not going to get in between Valve and the pro circuit. I agree with the decision on the face of it. Again, it's a statement, but I think it needed to be made here rather than later. And to note, it is not so much that the organization was banned, for example, NP. It was that the players were banned, because that means that, I mean, and there are obviously a whole bunch of things that are still difficult, and it's going to be, painting with broad strokes over something that needs to be painted with a toothpick, because it needs to be that, fine and detailed. but Valve nonetheless said, you cannot ban players from competing in effectively a Valve tournament or attempting to qualify for one, because even though they weren't technically banned from competing in this event, they were banned from competing in DPL Top 4, DPL Top Season 4, which was the Chinese qualifier for this event.
Yeah.
Similar to the American Kings Cup? That Kings Cup tournament was an open tournament, therefore it counts as an open North American qualifier for whatever event that seeds into, which I don't remember anymore. Was it Dota? Summit?
Oh, there's Summit. Summit.
Yeah, because Optic Gaming won Kings Cup America. That's right. Dude, so much Dota bouncing around my brain.
Yeah. It's all right. It's all right.
So,
you're doing great.
But yeah. So that's the long of it really is that now that you're getting an extra, $150,000 to $500,000 from Volvo here, you gotta play by their rules.
Yeah, I mean,
or excuse me, 250 to 500.
It's 150 to 500,000.
Yeah, that's right.
And obviously, having we haven't really seen whether or not the pro circuit lends any kind of big bump to viewership yet.
I can tell you that
probably
I have talked to somebody who works with a major tournament organizer, I'll put it that way. And they said, we were going to be putting on Dota event. We expected Dota event to cost us X. We had to increase our pricing to Y for Valve. We do not expect to see our numbers increase at all because people would have tuned in anyways to this event. But we knew that we couldn't not have it be a major/minor, because if we did, we would see a decrease in viewers. Now, again, that was before the tournament happened. We'll wait and see when that tournament happens and all that stuff, what the numbers turn out to be. But it is a comment that I heard, and we heard from ESL and PGL. Some of the other big boys were making grumblings about that briefly before. I think that overall the circuit's good. It provides a little more story, a little more continuity, and I like it overall. But there is that question to be made.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And it basically, even though Valve is sinking money on each of these tournaments by adding to the prize pool, they're still passing a pretty big burden onto the tournament organizers with no real defined payoff. There's a theoretical potential bump up in viewership, but that's not really enough to warrant, if you are,
especially if you're an established tournament or something of that, or even really just any kind of tournament that was pulling in these kinds of teams.
Let's say you're the Summit. Their prize pool for Summit 7, I think, was 100,000.
Yes, 100,000 to now 150,000 on their side, up to $300,000 total.
Yeah, so they're not necessarily getting an extra $50,000 of value out of their tournament. They have to pay an extra $50,000 just because you got to have it be a Dota Pro Circuit event now. But there's not necessarily any return on investment. So, however you pronounce the name of Rakum Reddy, I think is how I pronounce it. He previously discussed that he implied on Twitter that there's hopefully going to be some kind of battle pass type thing for the season.
God, I hope so.
Because, man, yeah.
I mean, we're a little late for it now, but
the organizers need it. Or not necessarily need it, but they would greatly
they need it. They need it at this point.
I'm sure there's a fair number of them that need it. But, I don't think necessarily ESL is going to close up or anything. But, again,
considering that Hulu money that ESL has right now, they're fine.
Yeah, but I mean, the Dota Pro Circuit relies upon tournament organizers keeping the gears turning, and you need to give them the grease to keep it turning smoothly.
Yeah,
and the grease is money. You got to give them money.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, that is EHOME, Perfect World Masters, and Dream League. We're now going to talk about the general roster shakeups that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. Again, we're 6 tournaments deep into the season. Teams are figuring out what works, and teams are also figuring out what doesn't work. And a couple of the teams that have figured out that things aren't working so well are Digital Chaos and MidOrFeed. And both of them are kind of interesting and kind of sad to see go. When it comes to MidOrFeed, that was
you can be sad to see them go. I'll comment in a moment.
Okay, I'm kind of sad to see MidOrFeed go because it was initially the Wii Soxa stack, which became the Wii stack, which became nothing in particular. They struggled mightily on the to qualify for pretty much anything. I don't think that they didn't actually qualify for any Dota Pro Circuit events, and the events that they did get into, they didn't really perform well. They were in Midas mode, came in last place for that. They were in the Captain Draft qualifier.
No, they came in 4th in.
Weren't there 4 teams?
Shh. Yes, there were 4 teams per side, so yes, they.
Okay, but yeah, they have been playing. They've been fairly active, and they have been consistently unsuccessful. So now that team is gone, and kind of floods the market with a few pretty interesting free agents in Tomato. We'll see where he goes. He might stick around in Europe. He's a very good player. Might end up going back to South America. Going to be interesting to see. Kezu, Cancel, Weeha, all very good. All free agents now.
Well, okay. As much as I was about to try and be like, and Cinderin too. Like, we haven't seen Cinderin on a successful team since late 2016, when Escape Gaming was like doing well. Yeah. So, and even then, they were a middle of the road team, and I don't know.
He's good enough. He's good enough that he keeps getting work. He has been on a lot of solid teams over the years. Like, not to bash on IX Mike, which is always fashionable, but there's kind of a reason that he hasn't had steady work for a while. Cinderin has had steady work.
Yeah.
And again, not to bash IX Mike because I'm a fan. I'm a fan for better or worse. But like I said, there's a reason that he hasn't really been steadily employed. And you look at the guys like Excalibur, like Cinderin. There's a reason that they keep getting steady work with good teams, and Bulba.
Yep. No, and quite frankly, as much as I like watching Cinderin play, I'd like to see him be a coach. I think that he would be a really good coach alongside a great analyst. Like, if you could put him and like, what would that? I don't know. I disregard. I'm floating off into thoughts about would he necessarily be good with somebody, and I decided it would not be worth speculating.
Oh, speaking of IX Mike, he was briefly the coach for Digital Chaos, who no longer exists. Really sad, honestly, because that's a team that I look at and I really like. You gotta like Bulba, you gotta like MSS, you gotta like Koikva, and it didn't work out for them. It kind of raises an eyebrow with me that they bumped Moon Meander after one reasonably successful tournament. He subbed in for them back in October, and for whatever reason didn't stick around. The loss of the former Phoenix players in Forev and Dubu was a pretty darn tough blow for Digital Chaos. They performed reasonably well at TI7. Replacing them with Demon and MSS just didn't really work out. They have, again, like MidOrFeed, they've been playing a lot of different events. They haven't had the kind of struggles that MidOrFeed have had, because, with MidOrFeed, they played in a very wide open Europe.
Oh, yeah.
And still couldn't get over the hump. North America is also wide open, but I would say that the competition level for non-EG teams is, there's a lot of good teams there. Between the Optic Gamings, the Complexities, the VG Gaming JAs, the Immortals, keep going. And they've been getting third place, second place finishes. Not first place though. That's what they need. And Mason broke the news on Twitch, I believe, that the team is breaking up.
Broke the news. If I remember correctly, he just kind of was like talking about it.
Yeah, quote unquote broke the news. He just kind of casually said it. But yeah, Digital Chaos is gone. Sad. I remember when Digital Chaos first formed back in 2015.
That was a very different. That's the thing is that Digital Chaos went from being like the Dota cinema stepchild in a good way, sort of like an adopted kid, not like a marriage of families, to being its own thing, to being its own like two things, both of which were kind of bastardizations because they went to South America and ripped it apart and then left like almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to speculate massively here. Like this is one of those, like normally I don't speculate without having some information, some insider info. I have none here. I think that Digital Chaos was trying too hard to make something big happen too fast with both sets of their rosters, both in South America and North America. And because of spreading themselves so thin there, they ended up killing both of their chances. If they had focused on one or the other, I think that we would still be seeing that one for at least a few more months because they maybe wouldn't have run out of funding quite as quickly. I would again speculate here that money is something behind the scenes that is certainly hurting the situation.
It's still kind of a mystery what happened with like Suns fan and the team, and then like
there was the most we got out of it was that Suns fan and Sajidine, because they both were part owners, were bought out.
Yeah.
There was some rumor, whatever, after the fact that said that that they couldn't be involved with anybody else as well because Dota Cinema was working on something that turned into Dota Cinema, which does have a stake in Moonduck, we believe, in some manner. At the very least, is sponsored Midas Mode, but is also going to be involved with Captain's Draft.
Yeah, they are technically a tournament organizer now. Again.
Yeah, so that's why they're not now. But at the time, I think there was a little bit of a buyout and a little bit of a departure in that regard. More so a push than anything else, I think. Just from the way that things got a little bit dicey briefly there, I think that it was not totally amenable.
Yeah, it's still kind of a mystery, and I don't necessarily know how much the Digital Chaos South America squad might have played into that, but again, it's completely speculation at this point. Either way, sad. I mean, excuse me. Yeah. Seeing that team kind of have a pretty good run at TI7 and then kind of fall apart.
Yeah.
And then, that was a good brand. That was a good brand. Sad to see it go.
It was a very good brand. Although I don't know how strong that brand was in the last few months.
Love their jersey.
We'll see. Again, there's so much to question, debate, nuance that we could debate it all day. I mean, look at Optic. Like, talk about a brand that went from nothing to holy shit. The players on Optic, because that team was the Dire, which was such an awful name.
Yeah.
And the team was doing okay. They're being media. I mean, it's PyCat, CCNC's IPPD, and at the time, Misery. I thought was great. Well, technically, Kitrak before Misery. It's right, because Misery was never actually fully a part of the team. He was just a stand-in for Midas Mode. Kitrak, no idea who he was. But when they got picked up by Optic, they did a little bit of rebranding, and have done very well for themselves, going from there. And now they have Soxa standing in for 3 tournaments. To be fair, that's the ROG Masters, which is this weekend, Dota Summit 8, which is next weekend, and the Galaxy Battles 2 qualifier, which is just finished. So, it's tight there. We'll see how long Soxa sticks around. But that's an example of a brand shaping itself. The players shaping themselves, not just like the brand because it's Optic. Like, talk about a brand that really doesn't give a shit anymore.
Oh,
The brand can light money on fire and still make money.
Yeah.
Because it is so powerful.
Yeah, I was about to say
the brand doesn't have to care because it has done such a good job.
Yeah. I was about to say
I slightly misspoke there. I apologize.
Okay. Because not
by much, because my point was still stands that they could literally be burning $100 bills on a Twitch stream and make money off of it.
In terms of actual brand, they have one of the best. Like, how many Dota 2? This is a meta discussion and kind of tangential, but how many teams in Dota actually even have a brand? There's Na'Vi. There's Na'Vi.
EG, Na'Vi, Secret, Virtus Pro, OG.
OG? What's OG's brand?
Oh, well, OG had a brand. They've lost it.
What was their brand?
The brand was the whole, like, the family sticking it together.
All right, I guess the whole power of friendship.
Yeah, power of friendship, but also, like, because they got sponsored by YouTube. And they were this strong group that just fell apart recently, but they had a brand.
I was about to say power of friendship, and then they lose the international, and then immediately disband.
Practically. Yeah. And so, I mean, there's that, but I mean, Na'Vi, Evil Genius's brand is a little bit shaky right now, but the brand Evil Genius is still sticks really strong.
Yeah, they're still like, pioneers of esports and Team USA.
Mineski, TNC, Execration.
What are their brands?
God, I gotta remember what I watched. Okay, because part of it is you know how hard it is to watch something in Tagalog and follow along with subtitles, because Tagalog, like, a lot of words sound like close-ish to English, and then you like get caught, and it's a trick.
Hey, I keep in mind I lived in Korea, so I played a fair bit on SEA servers.
Yeah. So point being is that, like, they both have, especially Mineski and TNC, both have teams with players that people like and brands that people like in their region.
Yeah, I guess you're right with Mineski in particular, because they've got Muji and they got Ice.
Yeah, that's especially now. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But TNC, I'll give you TNC has Raven. Like, talk about somebody that, like, people love to love.
Yeah, I guess
Southeast Asia loves him. I mean, I love him. He's a great little. He's adorable. But...
He served me well in the fantasy challenge.
Yes, he did. Oh my god. TNC Pro Team. Raven, Cuckoo, Sam H, Tim's, and 1437. I forgot that.
Yeah, but
I forgot that Steven was there. But I mean, the fact that you've got 4 Filipino guys, like, the Philippines loves that squad.
Yeah, I'm sure that they do, but I guess I just labeled Team USA or EG as Team USA, so I can't really turn that around.
I mean, Alliance is a brand that is going for Team Sweden, because it's literally Loda, Boxy, Mickey, Insania, and that are from Sweden, and then Taiga from Norway. So
it's gonna be interesting to see how they pan out.
I predict that they're either gonna medium along for a while, or they're gonna blow up one or two tournaments really well and then flame out hard. It's gonna be one of the two. Either they'll middle along and then start doing okay, or they're going to explode, do great, and then implode hard.
Yeah. But anyway, we should get back on track now.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Don't apologize. I kind of kicked that off. So, Misery is gone from Optic Gaming, as we touched upon. Really wondering what's going on there. He, like you mentioned, it kind of is open for question whether or not he was ever really like a full-time member of the team. Either way, he's gone. He would really serve any of these other teams well. And I guess, touched on Digital Chaos breaking up. He's a guy that you could easily see teaming up with, hell, why not team back up with Wii? Why not team back up with your old boys from Digital Chaos / Planet Odd? I'd watch. What are the other? What's the roster change that I'm forgetting about? So I think
Bambo leaving.
Right.
Well, Misery leaving Optic is sort of a big deal, but it's also not like he's leaving. He was
not playing there anymore.
We talked about MidOrFeed. Afterlife got benched. What? Missed that. So Vega Squadron put him on inactive, which.
Oh, yeah. Abed is now on Fnatic. That's it.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, Abed, and who else went to Fnatic? It was the coach. The coach that went with him.
Oh, Excalibur is their sub now. I don't know who their coach is. It was Bulba.
It was Bulba.
I don't know who it is now, though. Either way, Abed, pretty hard upgrade over Excalibur, I would say. Again, not to bash on
to be fair, Abed's one of the best, so it's kind of
like I said, pretty clear upgrade.
Yeah, I mean the biggest question is consistency with Abed. If you can get him operating at between 85 and 100% efficiency at all times, or of his peak at all times, he's the best damn player in the world.
And again, this is not to bash on Excalibur in the slightest. I mentioned him before. He didn't chance his way into steady work over the last 3-4 years.
I think Excalibur is due for his big break. I think that Excalibur will find a team that he meshes with and will be golden. But yeah, no, Abed.
Assuming Abed walk away from Fnatic.
Yeah, Abed, Sumail, SCCC.
Talking about best mids.
Best mids. I'm trying to think of my 5 best mids. And Dendy. You know, they're my 5. They're my 5 who I think if any of those 5 were operating at 100% at all times, they would be hands down the best mid in the world. But for example, with Weehaw, 1, he hasn't been playing mid, and 2, he has some pretty bad lows. Sumail has not been operating 100%, which is why he's gone down. So because there are a lot of players who I think that they operate in that 90 to 100% range all the time, but they're not as good as, say, Sumail, who, you know, has these peaks of brilliance, or Miracle. Here's a great example. Miracle. I've been watching him, and the tournaments that Liquid hasn't been doing well in are the games that they've been losing, especially where ones where Miracle gets too big for his britches, goes in, does something stupid, and then causes 3 or 4 of his teammates to feed, trying to save his ass.
Yeah.
When Miracle has those games, he is not the best player in the world, but when Miracle plays like Miracle, you can't deny that he is quite possibly the best player in the world. But that lack of consistency is what keeps the conversation open for everybody else. But then you have somebody like I don't even have a good example ready.
Abed?
No, because Abed has some inconsistency that keeps him out of the top. Who's playing mid on Optic? CCNC. CCNC is a good example of he operates between 85 and 100% at all times, and his 85% is closer to like Sumail's 70%, but he's always up there. CCNC is always very consistent. As long as he doesn't tilt off the face of the earth, he's really good. And that's part of the reason why Optic's doing so well right now, is because they're firing on all cylinders. And like CCNC, again, as a mid player, very, very good, very consistent.
Yeah, should note real quick, in quote unquote defense of Sumail, since you were not really criticizing him at all. You didn't criticize him, so it's not really to defend him. But something I really liked out of EG at the DreamLeague Major was that Sumail seems more willing than he did previously to kind of transition into kind of like a more team-focused role rather than, you know, really just dedicating himself to 100% being the number 1 player on the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, his willingness to start spreading is definitely.
He's not playing as quote unquote selfish as he used to be. I think he was playing a game as Timbersaw in the series against Na'Vi, and he ended up basically building a support type Timbersaw. Like he had pipe of insight and that kind of stuff, and you know, it didn't allow him to just go completely nuts like we expect out of Sumail, but it did help the team win. And that's ultimately what you're looking for. Let me see where it was. Clicking around, checking out the EG games. All right. Well, you get my point. I can't find.
Yeah. The point being is that the fact that Sumail has learned to transition some is just really solid.
Yeah, that's an important. Okay, it was in the series against the Infamous. Yeah, Sumail ended up playing Timbersaw and going for a fairly conservative build that allowed Universe and RTC to be the guys who are really in charge.
Yeah.
And we haven't always seen either Sumail or we either haven't seen Sumail really comfortably transition into that role, or we haven't seen EG historically ask him to go into that role. But either way, he's doing it now, and it's working out since Universe and Artesia are pretty good at the whole Dota thing too.
Yeah.
Okay, it was in the series against Navi. I was mistaken.
Okay, but still, point being is that again, consistency, and a willingness in for example, the case of Sumail that we just talked about, a willingness to go a slightly more position, 2 role and really accept, because that's the thing that I find so funny is that technically position 1 is safe lane carry, position 2 is mid, position 3 is off lane, but more and more people have been talking about position 1 being your mid laner.
Yeah, and we have seen that,
and that's fine. But the problem is that mid laners have forgotten how to play as a position 2. So, and again, that could be an entire show is just on the nuancing of position 1 through 5, which we could do one day. We could do variations on positions 1 through 6. We'll call it that.
Yeah, the final build for Sumail in that game, since I just want to fully finish that thought. He ultimately went like a pure tank build with Pipe of Insight, Bloodstone, BKB, and Blink. So not what you would expect from Sumail, who likes to just be an unstoppable killing machine. Instead, he ended up being an unstoppable winning the game machine. And it's a good thing. And that might be the thing that really helps EG to turn the corner after a rocky TI7 and then a rocky couple months after TI7.
Definitely.
And let's wrap this up finally with a quick preview of MDL Macau. We discussed EHOME. In addition to EHOME, LGD, and Virtus Pro were both given direct invites. Your DPL Season 4 / Chinese qualifier winner was LFY. TNC gets to make its first big tournament appearance of the season as the Southeast Asia qualifier winner. North America is sending Vici Gaming Storm, or Vici Gaming J Storm. We haven't seen them in a while. They will be playing with a substitute in KP, who is on loan from New B. Certainly not going to be complaining about having him on the team, I imagine. Phenomenal player.
Well, you got 7. Okay, I really quickly commenting on that team. It took me like I 747 is RYO whatever his name is, Ryo. And I found myself following him. I was like, who the hell is this guy and why does he follow me? And so I unfollowed him because I had no idea who he was, because he just scraped his Twitter branding. I was like, who is this guy? And then I saw that and I was like, oh God, I unfollowed a pro. Whoops.
He knows.
I only followed him because he was friends with an ex. So,
Ooh. But anyway, Vici Gaming J Storm is your North American qualifier. OG gets to pop back up after kind of a lull. We haven't seen much of them over the last couple months.
Honestly, I don't know if we want to have seen them much over the last couple months.
Yeah, I'm still not checked out on them.
Fair enough.
Navi is your CIS qualifier. talked plenty about them already. And Infamous, unsurprisingly, is your South American qualifier / dedicated last place finisher. Again, because this is a 9-team tournament, they're kind of taking a different approach to it. We're going to have a round robin type group stage with all 9 teams facing off. And from there, we will have a single elimination for our team tournament. 5 of the teams being eliminated in group stages. Best of 1s in the round robins. Then best of 3s in the actual playoffs. 300 points for the pro circuit on the line. No details on how that breaks down, but likely going to be the standard 150, 75, whatever else. So that should be a solid tournament if you are willing to wake up for it. If not, well, the week after that, you get to look forward to the Dota Summit 8s, and that is going to probably be a bit better.
Definitely.
Gonna wrap this up now, though. Anything else you want to touch upon?
Nope.
All right. So, like, comment, subscribe. Give us your MDL Macau winner in the comments. Follow us on Twitter. It's in the description. And, yeah. We'll see you next time. Probably after MDL Macau, so we can also preview Summit 8. That sound good to you?
Yeah.
All right. So, everybody have a great week. Pleasant tomorrow. And make sure to listen in next time.